Now here we go again. Another little project. That's my 1973 Baja 14-foot little open hull speedboat. Well, at least what's left of it. I decided I'm gonna completely restore this boat because I had lots of fun with it back then when I was working. It was rated, believe it or not, with 80 horsepower, up to 80 horsepower, which is a lot for a tiny little boat that weighs barely 250 pounds. But that wasn't even enough for me at the time. So I actually mounted at one point in time a 150 horsepower Mercury inline 6, the notorious tower of power, with a 24-pitch racing prop, and that made that boat completely uncontrollable, just the way I liked it. But anyhow, so make a long story short, about 20 years ago I blew up that motor, jumping waves like a fucking idiot, the usual. And then I gave up, got into other shit, and left it laying around for, yeah, close to 20 years now. And I finally got into stripping it all apart, ripping all that rotted shit out of there, separated the deck from the hull, the transom, nothing was left of it. Between having a motor on it that weighed only almost 300 pounds and it being all rotted anyways, but there's really nothing fixing a transom and reinforcing it. And that's the deck laying upside down right now, because everything is gonna get redone too. It was basically just riveted to the hull, which is like really piss poor manufacturing again. And over time that separated, and at one time I almost sunk the boat because the water started coming into the hull seam. But anyhow, so yeah, I had lots of fun with this boat, and I'm in the market right now. Well, I'm looking at a 40 horsepower Honda motor tonight. I found a good deal online, and I'm sure the motor's going to need some work, but it's a modern design, 4-stroke. The idea is get the boat still fast enough that it's not a total slug, but with much better fuel economy than that previous old 2-stroke motors gave me. Because I really want to use it also when I get my sailboat back in the water for as a tender to go back and forth, because I do plan on just anchoring my boat out. And that little Baja here is actually a well-designed hull. It is actually made for saltwater environments. Let's see if the camera really shows it, because it does have a fairly deep V hull in the front, designed to cut through waves, not just constantly bouncing on top of it. I used it back then in the days for probably 4 or 5 years, and took it out in the Gulf a few times, not far out, maybe a couple 3 miles, because you have limited range with a small fuel tank and what have you. Plus those old outboard engines, they're notoriously unreliable, and you really don't want to crap out with a small boat like that in the middle of the ocean. Anyways, I had lots of fun. The boat always behaved really good. It's very stable, really, despite its small size, you know. But so it's going to be lots of fiberglass work going on here. All that rotted shit I'm going to cut out. Probably going to put a whole new layer of laminate in there, and with that new epoxy stuff, it's going to be much better. In the front, I'm going to put another small deck over it, and it's going to get all the cavities going to get filled with that high density marine grade foam, because I really want to make the boat also unsinkable. Don't want to have to worry about if the boat gets swamped. Oh my god, the fucking thing is gonna sink. It ain't gonna happen. It doesn't take much to make a small boat like that unsinkable. The heaviest part on the boat is going to be my fat ass, of course, and the outboard motor that's going to go on there. But the motor is going to be around 200 pounds. It's not going to be the world. And yeah, kind of being anxious to get that done. It's more of an instant gratification than a year-long work on my Alberg. So that's the newest idea I got in my weird head. Well, here's the rest of the old motor I had on the boat, that 150 Mercury. Not much left over except the lower unit. At one point in time I took the power head off and wanted to rebuild it, but you can rebuild them, you can get them run like new. And I did like the motor because it was a screaming thing. I mean, this thing had like endless amounts of power, but it comes with a price, you know. I mean, they're finicky. Besides, you know, everybody knows the gas consumption is just horrible. You know, they have about a fuel economy like a fully loaded freight train. Had lots of fun with this motor. There's still that propeller on there. Good propeller. Probably can't reuse it, especially not on like a motor that's about half the horsepower, because that propeller requires at least 100 to 120 horsepower in order to move that boat. But yeah, that's so the beginning of my next little adventure. Well, that's it for now. So here I have a 40 horsepower Honda BF40. Well, at least this is the power head. I was taking it apart. I got a good deal on Facebook Marketplace on it. The only problem with it was that what was it called, the swivel case, tilt trim, what have you, it was all frozen up, because at one point in time it was probably being left sitting in salt water. Some people, for some reason, they don't seem to understand to lift the motor up when the boat sits in the water. Here's the trim cylinder. I don't know if it still works. Looks pretty fucked up. The hydraulic part probably still works. I found out those electric motors that drive them, they're fairly cheap. So I'm gonna get a new one there. Here's the engine cowl. Somebody painted it blue. Cheesy fucking color, but anyways, that's really not a big deal. Got some more parts in here from the engine. Yeah, so I spent probably a day on trying to freeze the engine mount, swivel, what have you. Somewhat successful. Some parts gotten completely destroyed by me doing so. There's the engine base plate or whatever that's called. Yeah, it takes some work. Made myself a engine stand. Here are more parts. Yeah. And then of course the notorious damages on the lower unit. Somebody welded something, a piss poor job on it. But I'm gonna get another parts engine, hopefully, and start over on that. So, and here I set up the boat, or hull, whatever you want to call it for now. So I can start doing the fiberglass work. work on the transom first, and then work through the rest of it. And here's the deck.